Construction workers laughed as they passed Robert Chen's grocery store. "The old man is staring at the building again," they said. But they didn't know that the old man had designed most of the skyscrapers downtown and now saw a fatal error in the building they were constructing. Only no one would believe him. Pine Valley was a small town with a population barely exceeding 15,000. The shops lined along Main Street were considered the heart of the town. Robert Chen's grocery store sat right in the middle of this street, on the corner. He had been there for 8 years, and everyone loved him, kind, helpful, never a problematic neighbor. This morning, as Robert opened his shop, the sounds from the construction site across the street were different than usual. The Harmony Heights project, which had been ongoing for 6 months, was considered Pine Valley's biggest project ever. A 20-story, 200-unit luxury apartment complex. The town had never seen anything like it. While preparing his coffee, Robert watched the construction through his shop's large window. Workers were busy, cranes were placing steel beams into position. But something began to trouble Robert. The angles of the steel beams looked wrong. Robert squinted and looked more carefully. During his 25-year engineering career, he had drawn plans for thousands of steel structures, from 40-story skyscrapers in Manhattan to earthquake-resistant buildings in Los Angeles. His eyes weren't deceiving him. The main support beams were being mounted at the wrong angle. This error would create serious stability problems after the building's 10th floor. Robert set down his coffee cup and stepped outside his shop to get a closer look. The morning sun clearly illuminated the details of the steel structure. His suspicion turned to certainty. The main load-bearing system was completely wrong. "Good morning, Mr. Chen." The voice was familiar. Tommy Martinez, the construction crew's foreman. A cheerful man in his 40s. "Good morning, Tommy," Robert replied politely. "The construction is coming along nicely." "Yes, we'll finish on time. Families will start moving in next summer." Robert sighed inwardly. If he was right, those families would be in great danger. "Tommy, I have a question. The angle of the main steel beams, is it according to the plan?" Tommy looked surprised. "What do you mean, Mr. Chen?" "Just curious. The beams seemed a bit odd to me." Tommy laughed. "Mr. Chen, since you're a grocer, you don't need to worry about construction matters. Everything is perfect. The engineers checked it." Robert nodded but wasn't at ease. If he asked Tommy more questions, he'd raise suspicion, but he had to try. "Which engineering firm is working on the project?" "Riverside Engineering, the best firm in town." Robert didn't recognize this name. Maybe it was a local small firm, but it might be insufficient for a 20-story building. "Could I learn the name of the lead engineer?" This time Tommy looked suspicious. "Why are you asking so many questions, Mr. Chen?" Robert quickly found an excuse. "I'm thinking about a small renovation on my house's roof. Maybe I could get some advice." "Ah, I see. David Morrison is the name. Good engineer, 10 years of experience." Robert returned to his shop, but his mind was occupied. Was 10 years of experience enough for a 20-story building? And the errors he saw. During lunch hours, customer traffic increased. Mrs. Patterson came for grocery shopping. The young Johnson couple bought baby formula. Retired Mr. Williams came to get his daily newspaper. Mr. Chen, Mrs. Patterson chatted at the checkout. When this apartment is finished, our town will change so much. 200 new families. I hope it will be safe, Robert replied carefully. Why wouldn't it be safe? It's a modern building, new technology. Robert smiled so she wouldn't worry, but the alarm bells in his head kept ringing. When closing the shop that evening, Robert made a decision. He would go home and pull out his old drawings, check the formulas he remembered. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe his eyes were playing tricks after an 8-year break. At home, he pulled out his old engineering books from the garage. Structural steel design, high-rise building analysis, seismic engineering fundamentals. As he flipped through the pages, he remembered the old days, the last project he worked on in Los Angeles in 2015. That terrible day. Riverside Tower, a 35-story office building. Robert was the chief engineer. Everything had been perfectly planned, calculations checked 3 times. But the third contractor had changed the steel quality to reduce costs. When Robert learned this, he immediately demanded the construction be stopped. The company partners had objected. You're being too dramatic, Robert. We have structural safety margins. Robert had insisted. This risk isn't worth taking. But money had talked. Construction had continued. 6 months later, during a 7.1 magnitude earthquake, Riverside Tower had collapsed. 23 people died. 45 were injured. Robert had quit his engineering career that day. Now, looking at this new building in Pine Valley, he had the same bad feeling. A different type of error, but the result could be the same. He checked the formulas from his books. He performed the necessary calculations for steel beam angles. The result confirmed his concerns. Harmony Heights' main structure would experience serious load distribution problems after the 10th floor. When the upper floors became overloaded, the lower structure wouldn't be able to withstand it. Robert opened his computer and visited Pine Valley City's website. He found Harmony Heights in the Building Permits section. He examined the files. David Morrison was indeed the project's chief engineer. He found his CV, mostly small projects, the largest being an 8-story office building. His experience was insufficient for a 20-story apartment. Even worse, there were critical errors in the structural calculations. The earthquake factor was incorrectly applied in the main load calculations. Wind load analysis was missing. Robert was horrified. This wasn't just a construction error. There were also project design flaws. The next morning, Robert woke up with indecision. What should he do? Going to the city council seemed logical, but who would listen to him? He was just the neighborhood grocer. As he opened his shop, construction had already begun. Workers continued with steel assembly. Every passing hour made correcting the error more difficult. "Good morning, Mr. Chen." Tommy came again, this time to buy coffee. "Good morning, Tommy. Construction is progressing quickly." Yes, we'll reach the 15th floor this week. The boss is pressuring us, wants to finish early. Robert's heart raced. Early? Why? I don't know. They have a new project. He wants us to finish this job quickly. This was terrible news. Rushing meant more errors. Tommy, how's the quality of the steel beams? Are you using good materials? Tommy looked surprised. Why are you so interested in steel work, Mr. Chen? Robert had to be careful. Just curious. I want to gather information for my own house, too. The material is above standard. We're using A572 grade 50 steel. Robert evaluated this information. A572 grade 50 was a good type of steel, but its use combined with wrong assembly was dangerous. At lunchtime, an unexpected visitor came. Mayor Susan Campbell, Pine Valley's mayor. Hello, Mr. Chen. How are you? I'm fine, Mayor Campbell. How can I help you? Actually, I wanted to talk to you. I heard you've been asking questions about the Harmony Heights project. Robert's heart raced. Tommy must have reported him. I was just curious. I understand. But some people have started to worry about our project. This situation is scaring investors. Mayor Campbell, I don't want to worry anyone. But some things I've seen. Mr. Chen, the mayor cut him off with a stern tone. You're not an engineer. Riverside Engineering is an experienced firm. Please don't speculate about these matters. After Mayor Campbell left, Robert fell into deep thought. It was no longer possible to remain silent. But who would listen to him? That evening, Robert gathered his courage and called Sarah Williams, editor of the Pine Valley Gazette. Mrs. Williams, this is Robert Chen from Pine Valley Grocery. Hello, Mr. Chen. How can I help you? I want to give you important information about the Harmony Heights project. What kind of information? Robert took a deep breath. I'm a former structural engineer. I have 25 years of experience, and I see serious structural errors in that building. There was silence. Then Sarah asked in surprise, An engineer? But aren't you a grocer? I'm both a grocer and a former engineer. This building could collapse, Mrs. Williams. People could die. This is a very serious accusation, Mr. Chen. Do you have proof? Yes, I can show you detailed analysis. An hour later, Sarah Williams came to Robert's house. Robert showed his old diplomas, certificates, and examples from his projects in New York. You really are an MIT engineering graduate. Sarah examined the documents in amazement. And these projects, these are skyscrapers in Manhattan. Yes. Now let me show you the problems in Harmony Heights. Robert opened the technical drawings, showed the calculations. Sarah didn't know engineering, but Robert's seriousness and expertise were convincing. I'll publish this story, Sarah was determined, but it will cause a big uproar. Let it. 300 people's lives are more important. The next morning, the Pine Valley Gazette's headline was shocking. Local grocer, actually MIT engineer, Harmony Heights in danger. The town was in uproar. Phone bells were ringing. People were arguing in the streets. Robert couldn't even open his shop. Visitors kept coming constantly. Mayor Campbell came angrily. "Mr. Chen, what does this mean? You've stirred up the town." "I told the truth, Mayor. This building is dangerous." "Nonsense. Riverside Engineering will sue you." But Robert wasn't giving up. He had to correct this error before it was too late. 2 days later, as the controversy raged through Pine Valley, an unexpected phone call changed everything. Robert was restocking shelves when his phone rang. "Mr. Chen, this is Professor Martinez from MIT Structural Engineering Department." Robert's heart skipped. "Professor Martinez, I read about your concerns in an online article. Your name seemed familiar, so I checked our alumni records. Robert Chen, graduated 1998, top of your class. You designed the Morrison Financial Tower, didn't you?" "Yes, sir." "Mr. Chen, I'm calling because the State Engineering Board has received your report through proper channels. We're sending an emergency inspection team to Pine Valley tomorrow." The next morning, 3 black SUVs pulled up to the Harmony Heights construction site. State engineers, led by Dr. Patricia Wong, began a comprehensive structural analysis. Robert watched from his shop window as they examined every beam, every connection point. Tommy Martinez approached Robert's shop, his usual confidence replaced by nervousness. "Mr. Chen, those inspectors, they're asking very technical questions. Questions I can't answer." "What kind of questions, Tommy?" "About load calculations, seismic factors, things way above my level. They want to see the original blueprints." 2 hours later, construction stopped completely. Workers stood around confused as engineers marked dozens of structural points with red tags. Dr. Wong approached Robert's shop. She was a small woman with steel-gray hair and sharp eyes. "Mr. Chen, I'm Dr. Wong, State Chief Structural Engineer. We need to talk." They sat in Robert's small office behind the store. Dr. Wong spread out her preliminary findings. "Mr. Chen, your analysis was not just correct, it was conservative. The actual situation is worse than you described." Robert felt a mixture of vindication and horror. How much worse? The building as designed would have failed catastrophically around the 12th floor. We're talking about a progressive collapse that could have killed everyone inside and damaged neighboring buildings. What happens now? Immediate demolition. The foundation can be saved, but everything above ground needs to come down. The city is also launching a criminal investigation into Riverside Engineering. As word spread through Pine Valley, the atmosphere changed dramatically. People who had dismissed Robert as a meddling grocer now approached him with respect and gratitude. Mrs. Patterson came to the shop with tears in her eyes. "Mr. Chen, my daughter was planning to buy a unit on the 15th floor. You saved her life." Mayor Campbell made a public apology. "Mr. Chen, on behalf of Pine Valley, I apologize for doubting your expertise. Your courage prevented a tragedy." David Morrison was arrested for falsifying engineering documents. Riverside Engineering lost its license. The construction company faced massive lawsuits. Tommy Martinez visited Robert one last time before leaving town. "Mr. Chen, I owe you an apology, and more than that, I owe you my life. I would have been in that building when it collapsed. Tommy, you were just doing your job. The responsibility wasn't yours." "Maybe not, but I should have listened when someone with your knowledge tried to warn us." 6 months later, a new construction project began on the Harmony Heights site. This time, the engineering firm was a prestigious company from Boston, and every calculation was triple-checked. A small plaque near the construction entrance read, "In appreciation of Robert Chen, whose vigilance and expertise protected our community." Robert never returned to full-time engineering, but he became Pine Valley's unofficial building safety consultant. The town council paid him a modest retainer to review all major construction projects. Sarah Williams won a state journalism award for her investigative reporting. In her acceptance speech, she said, "This story taught me that heroes don't always look like we expect. Sometimes they're quietly running a grocery store, watching out for their neighbors." Robert kept running his store, greeting customers with the same quiet kindness. But now, when construction workers passed by, they tipped their hard hats respectfully. Everyone in Pine Valley knew that the man behind the counter wasn't just their grocer, he was their guardian. On quiet evenings, Robert would stand outside his shop and look at the new Harmony Heights rising safely into the sky. He thought about the 23 people who died in Los Angeles and the 300 people in Pine Valley who would go home safely to their families. Sometimes the most important engineering isn't about building something up. Sometimes it's about having the courage to tear something down before it falls. Robert's story reminds us that expertise doesn't disappear just because someone changes careers. The quiet person next to you might be a former doctor, engineer, or specialist whose knowledge could one day save lives. In a world that often judges by appearances, Pine Valley learned that the most valuable insights can come from the most unexpected places. Robert Chen wasn't seeking recognition or glory. He simply couldn't stay silent when lives were at risk. Have you ever encountered someone whose hidden background surprised you? Sometimes the people we overlook are the ones watching out for us. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and join our community where we celebrate the quiet heroes among us. Drop a comment below and tell us, where are you watching from today? Remember, true courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's as quiet as a grocer who refuses to let his neighbors walk into danger. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.